So this just happened. Man charged over murder of baby boy. Jamie Varley, 36, also accused of serious sexual and cruelty offenses related to the same child. This is a child who was murdered by his adopted dad and his adopted dad's gay husband. Just saying. This is an instance of two gay guys who both worked with children, who both applied to adopt a baby boy, and raped him to death within 3 months. This is a horrible story. This guy, Sargon of Akkad, said we need to bring back the death penalty, and I completely agree. I'm sorry, bro. I agree. I don't care. Wood chipper. I don't give a shit. Now, there are more and more of these stories that keep coming out, and as the LGBT movement keeps flying closer to the sun with trying to incorporate it into teaching more children about this shit, I feel like it is only reaching this platitude of destruction. We are reaching this zenith where the entire movement is 100% cooked. I've done the math. In fact, this is a VTuber. All right, VTuber, I think maybe a groomer, someone that says that we need to start pushing this shit on children as much as actually possible. I see tweets like this: if Christians would stop indoctrinating their kids with religion and preying on vulnerable people, then Christianity would cease to exist. However, forcing trans people to hide in the closet won't stop trans people from existing. I see shit like this and I'm like, oh God, Satan mouthpiece popped out. This is crazy. So anywho, Sydney Watson just dropped a video. The LGBT movement is over. And I am very curious to see exactly what level of over we are dealing with. Because to be honest, if people wouldn't be including other people, if it wouldn't be targeting children, it would not exist. The pushback would not be here. All right? I'm just saying. Everyone was more than happy with accepting everything until it involved pushing agendas, especially on kids. And that's the line that was drawn by many, many people. And just, anywho, let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes, bro. Let's see where this goes. Just a quick shout out, though. This video is sponsored by the Bible. Anyway, moving on.
My name is Diddy.
Wee woo, red flag, dog. You do not just say my name is Diddy like that, bro. All right. It's already over. Repost 2 years out. Update. My pronouns are now they, them. Still queer. Still pan. Still poly. Holy f***, bro. Stop. With the crying and the shit. Dude, this isn't winning over anybody. Dude, you don't understand the amount of death threats I've gotten. And then you look at the death threats that I'm receiving. All right, that guy is a trans flag in bio. Who is a queer calculator enjoyer. Every single fucking letter in the alphabet is in this, all right? So this is, death threat, all right? We got a death threat. All right, look who's back on my tweet because, unfortunately for them, I'm not dead. This is a bisexual 15-year-old. All right, I am receiving death threats from bisexual 15-year-olds. Hasn't tweeted since the 12th, 113,000 likes. Let's pray for my demise. This is a she-her 20-year-old. Chinese century starts now. Great, a communist. All right, this one, the heat-seeking missile heading in his direction. All right, another death threat. What we got? Trans 19. I see. All right. I'm just saying, it's weird that this is happening. I'm just saying, maybe it's a coincidence, but it's weird that this is happening.
And I'm non-binary.
Oh my God, stop!
My pronouns are she, they. And I'm queer.
What a gift.
Does this work on people? There's no way this works on people.
Be here for who we are, this queering of the church. Happy Pride.
The queering of the church. Why must it invade spaces where it is not welcome? Why? No one would care if you did this yourself.
To everyone except for my 7 children who have all betrayed me by being straight.
Bringing your kid to a...
What the fuck? How do you become this level of demented? You're calling out your children for being straight? Dog, bro. What is happening?
Pride parade is like bringing your kid to Mardi Gras.
Pride 20.
It is literally not like that. You get people with their balls hanging out at these parades, man.
25 is here, and the only thing coming out is corporate bankruptcy.
For freedom, we're not going anywhere, and Pride is not just going to be a celebration, it's also going to be a protest.
And a sin!
I don't know what to make of this.
All right.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell.
All right,
and
let's
as
go.
per usual, before we launch into
Lol, oh no. What, you didn't know Pride was a sin? Like one of the 7? One of the top 7? Didn't know about that? This is news for you, bro?
today's video is sponsored by Vtube. So this is once again one of those videos that I had a really hard time putting together, namely because there are so many examples to illustrate my point, and it's a little overwhelming. It's so hard being asked to pick only my favorite psychos. This video was also quite challenging to edit on account of all of the nudity and inappropriate behavior.
Bro. If you can't get this shit monetized on YouTube, maybe it's not appropriate to be pushing down the throats of children.
Which probably makes its own point all by itself. So, you know, be gentle with me. I've done the best I can with the cards I was dealt. I've now seen more naked man butts than I care to admit, and everything I've learned about kink has been against my will. Anyway, now, I don't know about the rest of you, but lately I have noticed a very big swing away, not only from Pride, but the LGBT community in general.
It is very true. It is very true. The way I see it, most people just kind of want to be left alone. That's genuinely what most people want. And that is literally it. Now, it's a pretty simple perspective. A lot of people are actually relatively selfish, and I'm not even saying that in a bad way, but most people just kind of want to be left alone and do their own thing. And they don't want shit to affect them or affect their children or, you know, stuff like that. They want to believe what they want to believe. They want to be able to say what they want to say. Basic freedom shit. And for whatever reason, certain movements do not love that exactly. Axios, thanks for the 5 subs.
Or the movement, I should say. Year on year, it seems that there was a huge emphasis placed on this community, and year on year, the movement and its objectives have expanded, giving us huge parades, events, and representation absolutely everywhere. But Pride 2025 has been unbelievably lackluster, and what's interesting, at least to me, is that the LGBT community in general doesn't even seem to be fighting back. Are the gays fatigued by other gays?
Oh my god! That is the real question. I mean, to be honest, I think a lot of just your average people that used to call themselves LGBT are kind of fucking done with the movement. It's like black people are fed up with Black Lives Matter. Like, no, you know, Black Lives Matter ended up being like a giant scam.
Is that what's happening? I'm sure you've all seen online that parade.
And also, most of the people in these parades are not gay. I really think that's true. I think gay people make up a very small percent of the amount of people here. The rest of them are just virtue signaling, right? The rest of them are just sitting there and, you know, doing their shit.
Parades and events all over the place have been canceled or scaled back. Others have been canceled for low attendance numbers. Some organizers have been left hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hole after major brands pulled their sponsorships, including MasterCard, PepsiCo, Nissan, Citi, DoorDash, just to name a few. Brands didn't bother changing their logos to the Pride flag like they usually would this time of year. Target has all but removed its Pride merchandise from stores after backlash over its trans-orientated items, including...
Yeah, it's kind of weird, huh? Kind of weird. The LGBT movement really kind of became all about the tea at the very end there.
Including tuck-friendly swimsuits. Okay. White liberal women are very upset.
They are literally the cause of, like, the downfall in America. I said it. I'm sorry. I said it. Yes, that makes me all of the sexists and the racists. I get it. But I'm just gonna say it, bro. The Karens, bro. The Karens just came in there and decided to destroy everything. I'm just saying, man. Ugh. It's like it all started, bro. It all started at the very beginning. Equality, feminism. Men shouldn't be beating up their wives. And you know what? That's true. Men should not be beating up their wives. I agree completely. And then they wanted more. Oh god, Eve ate the proverbial apple, bro.
Said about this one.
Happy Pride Month. In my target.
You are the problem. You. Oh my god, she looks like the fucking voice actress for Genshin Impact, the annoying one that keeps popping up.
That used to have the Pride section. It's now all USA.
Why is that bad?
Yay.
It's an American summer.
This woman probably knows approximately 0 gay and lesbian people.
Probably.
And yet she's mad on your behalf. Very on brand. Some people have pointed out that Google is preoccupied with promoting Father's Day here in the US rather than changing its logo to anything Pride related. The corporate abandonment of Pride has been so severe that even left-wing outlets have been writing screech pieces shouting into the void about how this is all Trump's fault, pointing to his administration forcing the rollback of DEI initiatives. And honestly, maybe that's what a lot of this is about. Or maybe this also has to do with the fact that people, including gay and lesbian individuals themselves, are sick and tired of Pride and what the LGBT movement has become.
Completely true and accurate, by the way. I completely agree. I do. Again, and I think that early feminists would be ashamed of what feminism actually became. I really do. I really do. Early feminists didn't want women to be getting raped and beaten, you know, and, sure, bro. Now you get women that are lonely in their 40s with no husband and no children and are just kind of drinking wine and yelling about and Karening at each other over the internet. Like, dog, what you didn't save women with that one.
And as a result of this grand disillusionment, and as a result of this collective disillusionment happening, I think that we are observing the collapse of a movement in real time. It's almost like when you let things get co-opted by extremists and psycho people, it drives normal people away. Absolutely crazy. That's what? Who would have thought? Gay?
Obviously. So obviously. The biggest enemy to every movement are people in their own movement. You know, literally. Literally.
Lesbian people who don't make their sexuality their entire personality have become disillusioned with the queer, trans, and gender-obsessed part of the movement, which explains the recent creation of organizations that demand the LGBs divorce the TQ+.
It's crazy that this is happening. There's the gayest civil war imaginable going on the internet right now, and no one has patience for any of it.
Plus, I mean, let's be real. You know things have probably gone too far when you can't include all the letters in your psycho acronym and instead have to use a plus sign.
True.
Sometimes when I make these videos and therefore I have to think about these things a lot, it just occurs to me how unbelievably stupid most things are most of the time.
Most things are stupid. Like, for example, can we talk about women's right to vote? All right, that was a joke. That was a joke, obviously. However,
more importantly, if the
can I actually have like a really good take? I'm not gonna lie. I think that voting in general should be repealed. There's way too many retards that vote, okay? I'm gonna give you my incredibly hot take on voting rights for a future of democracy. Okay? All right, you ready for my incredibly hot take? You only have the right to vote if you've done something material that contributes to the future of the country, which includes, but is not limited to, having children, being in a relationship with children. That family unit gets 1 vote. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? Service in the military, all right? That you are contributing to the future of the nation, all right? Something that contributes to the future of the nation, that should be what gives you the right to vote. All right, that's my opinion. Anyway, it's I didn't think it through enough, but anyway, moving on.
2024 election is anything to go by, Americans in general have overwhelmingly shifted away from progressivism, and that change comes with an upheaval in attitudes towards social causes. For the first time in a long time, polls show a consistent but steady decline in the support for the LGBT++ community.
For the last few decades, the story of LGBTQ+ rights in America has been one of increasing public support.
Yeah. Until it isn't. Bro, the fact that it became the actual nucleus, bro, the fact that that became the actual nucleus to the American issue on the left just shows how retarded everyone is, bro. I'm just saying. It just shows how retarded everyone is. Like, bro, the economy is dying. People are falling apart. Like, stop, bro. clarify that relationship with children. In a relationship and have children. I didn't mean in a relationship with children. Is that how it came out? Oh, fuck. Then Hassan Piker might be able to vote. We don't want to. Anyway.
But now a new survey finds that for the first time in years, there's a slight decline in that support.
And the irony is that this is largely the fault of the Rainbow Mafia themselves. Because the queer activist class that has become the face and voice of this movement has long stopped advocating for rights and freedoms.
Yeah, because all activists are grifter shitbags. Literally all of them. You will not find me a single activist that I'm like, wow, this guy's really, I really approve of this activist. Wow, they did such a good job. Bro, this is like the craziest shit in the world. It's like, imagine, hear me out on this, okay? Hear me out on this. Imagine going to Egypt to let the Egyptians help you save Gaza. Right? Think about this. Think about it. Not gonna work, bro. You are grifting shit.
And instead has taken things so far away from rationality and sanity. And as a result, they have...
It is. You get some gay person that wants to marry someone of the same gender or whatever, and that's what they want. All right? That's what they want. And now you have to contend with an army of gay people that are trying to push shit on other people's children. All right? Literally. And they are literally butt-fucking your entire movement. You cannot live in peace now because an activist decided to make it everyone else's problem.
Driven this community right off the edge of the cliff. If we have learned nothing else in the last decade, it's that you should probably keep the they-thems out of anything you're trying to do, lest you want to end up in the proverbial ravine.
Honestly, not even wrong.
With lots of sharp, pointy rocks at the bottom to break your fall. Also, just an aside before we get into this video and I traumatize you with all the examples I found and many things you've probably forgotten about at this point, I just want to make the point that I don't talk a ton here about the trans movement because I've already covered why that imploded in 2 separate videos on this channel recently, which I'll link in the description box.
Yep, I checked them out.
The other thing to note is that all of this nonsense kind of happened all at once, or at least it was evolving all at once, so it's very challenging to lay it out chronologically. I did my best, but yeah, it's sort of all happening at the same time. Please forgive me. I'm doing my best. Pride's origins in the United States began in 1969, when gay and lesbian people faced off against police during the Stonewall riots in New York City. A year later, the first Gay Pride Liberation March took place in Manhattan in 1970. The parade's official chant was, "Say it loud, gay is proud." The objective was to destigmatize same-sex attraction, eliminate discriminatory laws, and achieve freedom and societal acceptance without the stigma. Fast forward to the 2000s.
Yeah, well, the stigma is definitely solved. They solved the stigma. Yep. Yeah, 100%. That worked. That fucking worked. Hell yeah, dude. That worked.
And much of this had been achieved, at least in the West. Don't know about the other countries. Then with the passage of same-sex marriage around the globe in the 2000s...
Around the globe! Yeah. Yeah, go try that in Iran, bro. Go try that somewhere else.
Through to the 2010s, many LGBT people felt that they'd achieved what they set out to do. Acceptance was achieved, and it was time to hang up their hats and go about living their life. But things were starting to go pear-shaped long before this.
Oh, shit.
When I say that, I mean that the seeds of stupidity had already been
sown. Let's go!
In 2009, trans issues took center stage when Obama included transgender in his June 1 Pride proclamation.
Oh, bunga! I am telling you, all right, listen, we could get into like all these like satanic conspiracy theories if you want, but I'm just going to be more normal about it and I don't even need to get into like metaphysical stuff, man. I don't even need to get into like the spiritual aspect of anything. All right, that's not important right now. What is important is that for some reason, the Democratic Party made this the one thing to zero in on, so they literally didn't need to fix anything else. All right? When you see the way this absolute bullshit system tried to run, do you remember when Kamala Harris ran? Kamala Harris ran for president, okay? On the back of the LGBT movement when the economy was dying because of Biden. No shit, that's not gonna work, bro. Oh, bunga.
The recognition on a federal level signaled a shift away from gay and lesbian rights to broader gender identity
Obviously, he added transgender because he's married to his husband, Michael Obama.
Issues driven by trans and queer activists. This opened a bigger...
Dude, this is literally the second Frogan of the internet. Like an actual jump scare every time I see this creature.
Can of worms than anyone could have possibly imagined, leading us down the path of men in women's spaces, men in women's sports, debates around bathroom access, medically transitioning...
Yeah, this whole discussion is fucking retarded. Like, unironically, this whole shit is like actually retarded. No one cares, okay? Stop. Literally no one cares.
And performing irreversible, life-altering operations on vulnerable adults.
Or children.
Very good.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about that, man. Literally. Like, oh my god, dude. Stop.
Not to mention all of that forced neo-pronoun use in government and workplaces and schools.
True! Forced speech, right? America, First Amendment, freedom of speech. Unless you misgender somebody. Like, dude, if you think about it for a second, it's insane that it went this far. And obviously, it was gonna be pushed back on.
They really love some forced compliance. It was even here that some gay and lesbian people felt that their movement was being co-opted and overshadowed. Soon, everything was about the T, and later, the nebulous Q+ part of the community. But
I don't even know what that is, to be honest. I don't even know what that means.
Between 2016 to 2018, the rainbow flag went through a metamorphosis of sorts, getting a makeover with the Philadelphia and Progress Pride flags.
Look at that.
There's so many P's in all of this. Adding stripes for non-white people and trans...
But the fact that they felt the need to include brown and black stripes as part of the LGBT movement is fucking retarded. It's like, we are the LGBT movement. Lesbians, gay people, trans people, black people, Indians. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing at this point? What? This is actually retarded, bro. Oh, Lord. It's over. It's so over.
Trans identities. Since...
Oh my god, a black guy. You're just like the color on the pride flag. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do about this, dude?
Then they've added the intersex symbol, because I guess we gotta have those chromosomal abnormalities in there. And apparently they've also added some feathers recently for...
Wait, what the fuck? Is that real?
Two-spirit.
No, dude, that's not real. This is crazy, dude.
When I tell you I am tired.
And the other new addition to our flag is the two feathers in the circle, which represent indigenous folks that identify as two-spirit.
Dude, none of this is grounded in reality anymore. Navajo two-spirits is a thing? Yeah, but it doesn't need to be on the fucking flag! This is such a grift. It's such an obvious grift. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Right, you're gonna have like these hardcore atheists, right? The gay-theists, right? The gay-theists are on one side of the spectrum, and they're like, we reject Christianity, we reject Judaism, we reject everything, except we accept multiple spirits of indigenous folk, right? Like, guys, dude, what is going on? How is this possible?
One feather represents feminine identity, one feather represents male identity, and the circle that holds them together represents the unification of both identities.
Of course. Obviously. It makes sense. Shut up. Stop. Don't be fatigued. Okay, the gay theist explained it to you, and it makes so much sense.
This is getting stupid, right? I'm not the only person that thinks this is getting stupid.
Yeah, and it obviously didn't work because people are just tired of this. People are tired. Like, dude, if you did whatever the fuck you wanted yourself, no one would care. Well, some people would care, but most people wouldn't care.
Anyway, by this time too, LGBTQ+ was ubiquitous in media, policy, and education.
And the most frustrating thing is, everyone bent the knee. Everyone was such a cowardly pussy that they all bent the knee. Like, literally. Forget in real life. In television, you cannot find a TV show that wasn't pushing something. Everything. Every single TV show. Literally all of them. Pushed something. All of a sudden, the propaganda was everywhere. You felt like people were trying to propagandize you into thinking this is the most important thing ever, and only the Democrats care, so therefore you should vote for the Democrats. It really kind of feels like it was pushing that the entire time. It's like, Dude, you watch fucking Cocomelon, and Cocomelon is telling 3-year-old kids about transgender gay marriages or whatever. And it's like, what are we doing, bro? Why are we telling kids about anything like this? There should be no sexual conversations with children at all, actually.
The Obama administration in particular had long been...
That was Miss Rachel? I don't care. One of these. Who cares?
...using LGBTQ+ in official documents, and media outlets adopted it in style guides by 2017. Somewhere along this road...
Dude. You look at this and you're like, why are we taking this seriously? Don't you realize how goofy this looks? Dude, what the fuck? Professor Flitwick over here in the background. What is going on here? Like, what is this is sad. This is so sad. They're like, gender dysphoria is not a mental illness, and then they come out and dress like this. You are literally the bane of your movement.
Canada went even further, rolling out an even more absurd acronym, 2S LGBTQI+, in official speech.
Fuck, dude, Canada, what are we doing with Canada, bro? What are we doing about Canada? How is Canada still so retarded? Like, again, it's this bullshit. Sorry, I was thinking of Canada. There's this bullshit level of mental retardation in Canada that I feel like I don't even know what to say. It's just Canada. It's classic Canada. Classic Canada maneuvers every single time. It's this fake empathy, this bullshit levels of, I care so much I'm going to destroy everything. Nice. So much empathy. I care so much I'm going to do something retarded.
Which is another documentation.
There's been a dramatic spike.
Bro, look at this. This is a clip from Air Canada.
Here we go.
It was a bit of a range of emotions this morning coming here and getting dressed for this flight. We are doing the first ever, now let me get that one straight because a few letters have been added to this one, 2S LGBTQIA+ flight ever in Canada. I do identify with the progress flag. There is something in...
Does this mean that, like, the plane doesn't fly straight or something like that?
Got
or
him.
What's the difference between this and a straight flight? Like, this doesn't even make any sense.
So it was a bit of joy.
Bro, when your fucking movement looks like a Wi-Fi password, something happened.
The opportunity to do this flight today.
You're so brave. You're so brave. You're so brave by grifting to the actual fucking, the masses.
Features our very first all 2S LGBTQIA+ crew.
So, like, if you're gay, do you get a discount or something? Like, what? I don't understand.
The safety and the well-being of all the passengers.
Thank God I'm not in Canada anymore, bro. Thank God I'm not in Canada anymore, bro. Like, I don't know, man. This is wild.
On board rests in our hands. So it doesn't matter who they are.
We are Canada. We bend over backwards to support gay people. Also, we invite millions of Islamists to join the country. Like, did he pick a struggle, bro? What is going on? Oh, God.
What they represent.
This flight is so inclusive, no straight people are allowed.
Responsible.
Sure does. Sure seems like it does.
For all of them.
2S stands for two-spirited. You used to call this multiple personality disorder.
Okay. No, this is for the Navajo, people. Okay, wrong. This is not about multiple person. Wait, is it multiple personality disorder? Okay, you know what? We're gonna have to do a deep dive. What does the 2 in LGBT2+ mean? Alright, the 2 refers to two-spirit, a term used by some indigenous communities to describe what individuals who identify with both masculine and feminine spirits, or whose gender identity and or sexual orientation differs from the binary gender norms. It is a distinct entity that is rooted in indigenous cultures and traditions. The S also represents the two-spirit, with some preferring the full two-spirit term rather than the abbreviation. That's good. That's good. Alright. That's the 2S.
Okay, people aren't going to believe this. 2S, a term used by some indigenous peoples of North America to describe a person who embodies both masculine and feminine spirits or genders. The woman who came up with 2S admitted that she had it from a dream that she had.
The grandfathers came in a dream, the gift and the greatness of two-spirit. 7 orbs of light. They came, one after the other, 7 of them.
There'd because this one random retard decided to fucking post themselves doing this, it became part of the greater movement now. It's like, dude, we are inclusive to literally everybody, unless you are Christian or Jewish or just white in general. Everyone else is welcome.
One straight because a few letters have been added to this one. 2S LGBTQIA plus flight ever in Canada.
This needs to stop. You need to stop adding letters. This is sounding like a router password. This.
It's not about. It's not just adding letters, bro. This whole shit is retarded. There should not be even a movement called this, dude. I don't understand, bro. If you don't have another movement, all right, the prostate cancer movement or whatever, or another movement that just is a nebulous group of people, why do you feel the need for this movement specifically over every other movement? Why are asexuals there? I don't know. I don't know. None of it makes sense to me. The fact that this is a quote-unquote movement is the problem. Bro, stop.
In violence and discrimination targeting the 2S LGBT community.
It's Pride Month. It's a time to celebrate the 2S LGBT.
No, stop! Oh my lord!
To accelerate social and gender justice for 2S LGBTQI plus people in Canada.
I love watching all the videos where politicians are struggling to say this acronym. Watching them.
It's because I'll tell you why. Can I tell you why? This isn't me talking for myself, okay? I am not talking for myself. I am talking for everyone. This shit's crazy. I say that on behalf of everyone. Thank you for listening, okay? And even the people that are the biggest supporters of the 2S LGBTQ plus movement, the biggest fucking supporters, also think it's crazy. They're just too scared to say it, and they know it's their voter base, okay? Enough. Let's actually say the words that we want to say and express our opinions in a way that will get you death threats on Twitter. Come on, guys. This is obviously retarded. There can't be more than 10% of Americans that actually think, yeah, this is absolutely the way to go. This is normal and just. There can't be more than 10% of people. I just think that 40% of people are terrified.
Stumble over it is honestly beautiful to me. That's what you get for being moronic.
True. It's the punishment of retardation is public humiliation. That is my mantra. Subscribe to Nuxanor. It is what we do here.
This expansion wasn't just symbolic.
Dude, pumpkin spice pronouns. You see what I mean? Do you see what I mean?
Signaled a broader shift to include niche identities, which led to the rise in the hundreds of sexualities and gender identities we see all over TikTok now, from non-binary to xenogender. And let's not forget GenderWiki. This has always been a fun place.
Oh, what the fuck is gender? The demi-gender pride flag? There's a demi-gender pride flag. Dude, this is a circus! Demigender is an umbrella term for non-binary gender identities that feel partial but not full, connected to a particular gender. Anyone can be demigender regardless of what gender they... Like, how are we even taking... No, the thing is, no one's taking this seriously, okay? No one is taking this seriously. There's just a big group of people that are making believe they take it seriously, okay? I'm gonna say the thing that no one is brave enough to say themselves. No one thinks this is normal except for mentally ill liberal women on TikTok. Okay, I'm just... Come on, dude.
If you want to take your brain there and then hate yourself.
The frick is all of these things? Gender queer. How is that any different than any other type of gay? Gender queer is a term for people who are queer, who queer their gender in some way. Gender queers fall outside cisgender. I don't care.
Yourself. I also especially...
Holy look, what is this? Neurogender. Neurogender identity is a Tumblr. I don't care.
Love this entry.
I don't care.
Which is hetero-romantic, which describes...
Bro, these people need God. All right, I'm just saying they need God. Could we please bring God back into schools? Like swap it out for teaching 14-year-olds about cutting their penises off?
individuals who feel romantic attraction to people of a gender different than their own. Within the split attraction model, its sexual orientation equivalent is
Dog, I don't know what this is,
heterosexual.
bro.
So it's just straight with extra steps.
Wait. Heteroromantic describes individuals who feel romantic attraction to people of a gender different than their own. Within the split attraction model, sexual... Yeah, this is just straight people. It's straight people that want to be included in this fucking anti-straight psyop.
Heterosexual. So it's just straight with extra steps.
Nice.
Got it.
That just sounds like slavery with extra steps.
Then,
Got
because
it.
we actually live in hell, polyamory and thruples and other odd relationship dynamics got lumped into the movement and...
Bro, dude, and you wonder why some people think that the movement is satanic, bro. And then you find these thruples and polycules of gigantic fucking orgies and shit, and you wonder why people think that there's some dark force going on.
started showing up absolutely everywhere. By 2010, polyamory was highlighted at Pride events.
There is no way this is something celebrated. Oh my lord.
With workshops and floats, confusing people who thought that Pride was about same-sex attraction and not some commentary on relationship dynamics.
Bro, what the fuck? You got furries in the front, you got polyamory in the back.
Critics, even within the community...
You know, I'll be honest, I still, to this day... Alright, I'm gonna tell you something that is gonna shock you. Why didn't they call Pride Month Love Month? Why didn't they call it the Love Movement? Why did they decide to name it after the father of the 7 deadly sins? I'm just asking the questions all of us are wondering.
He started to say that this was too much, too complicated, too far from the original fight.
Hi guys, if you're new here, I'm Dana. I am in a polyamorous throuple with my partners Gabby and Eli.
It's not a throuple. It's not a throuple.
This makes me feel unsafe. And because
Bro.
of all of the insanity coming...
Who we are, why we exist, what we do, how can you help? No thank you! No thank you, it's okay. I have full faith that my help is not warranted.
Coming out of the movement, by 2022, groups like the LGB Alliance were pushing to separate the LGB from the T and the Q+, arguing that the community was being co-opted by insane people. Once again, when your acronym needs a plus sign, maybe it's trying to do too much. Now, all of this on its own was incredibly bizarre, and people were...
Bizarre is a nice way to say retarded.
...are already starting to feel very fatigued, especially considering that the LGBTQIA XYZ community and agenda was showing up absolutely everywhere. In politics, in...
I only call them the LGB? Well, then you are part of the problem. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call out random people in my chat, but I will anyway. I don't call them anything. They don't get a title. I'm sorry. They don't. All right, this isn't some community that everyone needs to come together and bow our heads to. They don't get a name. Okay? I don't call, you know, black people, Mexicans, and Irish people the BMI community. I don't. You know why? Because they're not a community. They're just people. Okay? They're people. And every person is different.
In the cultural space and the social space. But then there was the push to get kids involved. And this, just like with the trans movement, was where a bunch of people noped out.
Insanely based. Yeah, again, I think a lot of people were just like, you know what? Whatever you want to do, you can do. Whatever you want to do, fine. But once it starts getting enforced onto other people, nah, bro.
All you ever have to do is leave the kids alone. It's not that hard.
I disagree, actually. I think that not leaving the kids alone is what actually got people to push back a lot. But I think that there are inherent problems with a society that is, you know, enforcing certain things more than others. When you have, like, these cartoons that are made about how, you know, sodomy is goated, then I think that's actually a problem. I do. I do.
In the mid-2010s, Drag Queen Story Hour started in San Francisco with drag queens reading to children in libraries. This led to an almost immediate backlash. No surprises there. Critics did not see this as an expression of tolerance and inclusivity, but adults in provocative outfits pushing adult themes onto kids.
Well, pushing some sort of theme onto kids. It's not just adult themes.
It also didn't help that you didn't see drag queens showing up at retirement homes or homeless shelters. They only wanted the kiddies.
Because it's a form of indoctrination. Literally, that's exactly why. Because it's indoctrinate. This is satanic shit, bro.
Drag Queen Story Hour had a multitude of problems outside of the obvious. Many performers were not properly vetted, as some had previous criminal convictions for...
Holy shit. Holy shit, bro. They didn't vet the drag queens? Oh, Lord.
Or fan of the playground behavior. Then from Drag Queen Story Hour came the idea that it was fine overall to have drag queens performing for children, which led to wholesale borderline stripper-esque performances in front of kids and their families.
Bro, they gotta swap all of this shit out for Bible Hour. I don't know, man. That's the only way. I'm just saying, they gotta do it. They gotta do it. All right, America is a Christian majority country. I don't know why this takes precedence over Bible Hour. You're not forcing anyone to become a religious zealot. It's not forcing religion down people's throats, but you could look at it as historic. You could look at it as ethical, but bro, this is insane. This is crazy. We need holy water immediately. Recently, there was this TikToker, Lily Tino. Let me see if I can even find this. Lily Tino, this trans TikToker person who's getting apparently sued for being really cringe in women's bathrooms and around children. This person filed complaints and started a whole thing complaining that they did not consent to a Bible verse being written on a cup of coffee. It was unconsensual Bible verse. I am not joking. I am actually being serious. I don't know if I'll find it, but I'm trying. It's brutal. It's insanity. Holy shit. Here, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Was it deleted? I can't find it. Hold up. Oh my god. I found it. I'm actually goated. I'm actually goated.
I don't like that it put a Bible verse on my food without my consent.
They put a Bible verse on the food without consent. Dog. Dude, you appeared on my internet feed without my consent.
I don't want to eat John 3:16.
This is insanity, bro. Insanity.
Get your John 3:16 out of here.
Bro, that's all it was, man. That is all it was. What are we gonna do, man? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do that society finds this somehow more offensive, man? Good thing, you know, personally, if I would have been working at this In-N-Out burger place, do you know what verse I would have put on this? I would have put on Deuteronomy 22:5. Yeah, you heard correctly. That's what I would have done. Deuteronomy 22:5. A woman must not wear men's clothing nor men. I'm sorry, I just think that would be fucking hilarious. I'm sorry. Anyway, moving on. Anyway, moving on.
Families. Some videos went viral where children were encouraged to give money to the men while they danced.
Chicago now at the center of controversy once again. Critics are tearing into a drag story time for toddlers held at a public library.
They should not be anywhere near children. It really shouldn't. Incentivizing sodomy to children or inviting perspectives on life to children that have a side effect of a 42% suicide rate. Like, there is absolutely no excuse that this should be pushed on children.
Protesters on both sides of the issue clashing outside as leaders refuse to cancel the event. The library says it's all about inclusion.
Nervous?
Yes.
How come?
Holy fuck, dude. Why is this even why did they think this was a good idea?
Do I look scary?
Yes!
Do you know what I am? No? I'm a drag queen.
If a drag queen wants to read you a story at a library, listen to her.
Nah, bro, burn that fucker to the ground.
Because
in Minecraft,
knowledge is power. And if someone tries to restrict your access to power, they are trying to scare you.
No. Then all of this started showing up in schools and school curriculums all across the Western world.
Yep.
Although, unfortunately, in a lot of...
And it's so wild. I am so shocked that that it even got this far. Like, didn't people realize that there would be pushback at this point? Like, bro, legalizing gay marriage altogether, like, if you really think about it, that was a huge fucking step. And they really felt like they needed more than that? Oh my god.
ways, this does sometimes feel like a uniquely American...
Nux, do you think gay marriage should be legal? Alright, so I have a hot take. No. I don't think any marriage should be legal. I don't think marriage should have anything to do with the government. I think marriage is a holy matrimony between you and your partner in the name of God, and I don't know what it has to do with the government.
Canadian, Australian, English problem. Don't know why we've collectively lost our minds. By 2019, education institutions were all in on drag queens and gender identity. California mandated LGBTQ+ history lessons, and TikTok blew up with teachers showing off pride flags or pronouns.
None of that should be around. I don't understand.
Lessons in classrooms.
Oh my
and of
God.
course, we all remember the photos of the gingerbread person and
You've got to be fucking kidding me. The gingerbread person.
the gender unicorn. This makes me feel like Derek in Zoolander. Gingerbread man! Man!
Merman.
This Jose.
Merman!
Soon, some states were trying to pass legislation that
Yep.
would interfere with parents who didn't let their children transition.
Yup. That's when you open the gulags. That's when you throw them into the loony bins. All right, listen, if this is your personal kink or whatever the fuck you want to do, I don't give a shit. You can do whatever you want, man. Don't bother anybody, whatever. Nah, dude, too far. Too far, bro, too far.
And empowered teachers to withhold information like this from parents. In 2024, California banned school policies requiring parental notification.
You don't even have to tell the parents, and you're, wow.
If a student changed their gender identity, name, pronouns, arguing it protects the child's privacy.
If you're an educator in the classroom and you're not willing to teach inclusive content, then you shouldn't be an educator.
I actually also believe in inclusive content. My inclusive content is everyone should be called a retard if they're retarded. See, this is Nux inclusive content.
I'm not allowed to be out as trans non-binary at school.
Good.
Do not come up in my comments saying that I am allowed, because I'm not. I live in Louisiana and it sucks here.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that you had a problem. Bro?
So of course my response to this is to be as obnoxiously queer as possible.
Good shit, that'll help your movement.
This is kind of an issue unto itself, given how many teachers like to publicly on social media tell on themselves, especially with relation to encouraging their students to transition, or, you know, that they could be a boy or a girl, whatever it is. There's a lot of those videos out there. It's kind of upsetting. Your job is...
I don't know. I feel like there has to be some sort of... I mean, personally, I think it is a... It's not just a movement that's designed for inclusivity and stuff. I think it really is. It's anti-religious in every possible way. That's why you see endless times people are shitting on Christians and stuff like that. But it's anti-religious because, A, why'd they call it Pride Month? Why didn't they call it Love Month? Like, really, if you think about it, the whole thing is love and all that. So why did they call it Pride Month? Well, Pride is, you know, the granddaddy of the 7 deadly sins. All right, so what's their actual colors? All right, what's the colors on their flag? It's a rainbow, okay. Why would they pick a rainbow to represent gay people? I'm just asking. Why did they pick a rainbow to represent gay people? Well, it is known that the God created a rainbow after the flood wiped out all of the sexual deviants before the flood, and then created a rainbow as a bond with Noah to remind Noah that every time there's a rainbow, God is reminding you, I will not bring another flood to the world, but I want to. All right? So, listen, I'm just saying, there's way too many of these. It's a promise. It's a promise that, don't worry, not flooding the world again. I kind of want to, but I'm not doing it because I made a promise. Like, there's way too many of these, like, references. Way too many, bro.
Is to teach English, Seth. Worry less about your students' genitals. Then there were the battles happening with relation to LGBTQIA XYZ books in school libraries. Books that sometimes depicted adult acts and other inappropriate themes and content, particularly for elementary-aged young people. In Australia, we call this primary school.
And now the details. Librarians at the Central Bucks School District have been ordered to remove 2 titles from library shelves.
All right.
Both books deal with LGBTQ issues.
Understandable.
And it's the first book ban under a controversial new policy passed earlier this year.
Parents railed against this, saying that they...
Stop. Why is this controversial? Why is this controversial? This shouldn't be controversial. This is the most obvious thing in the world. You don't have fucking porn books in school. You don't have, you know, an insight into female genitalia in your average fucking library in school. Why would this be any different?
Didn't want their children having access.
Like, dude, but I can't feel anything. This was much hotter when it was only my imagination. What the fuck is this, bro?
To what essentially rhymes with corn, if you know what I mean. Activists...
It's like, we're not going to have porn in school, but we are going to have gay porn.
Argued that this was bigotry and narrow-minded. Nope. Just don't think 7-year-olds should see men giving other men they'll, you know...
I don't think kids in high school should either. Doesn't matter. Not just 7-year-olds. I don't think anyone in high school should.
Suckerfish treatment.
We got it, bro.
So,
we got it.
Pride Puppy was the book that was used for the pre-kindergarten.
What the fuck is this? Pre-kindergarten Pride Puppy?
Curriculum. That's.
I'm telling you, man. It's a fucking cult. It's an actual indoctrination cult.
No longer in the curriculum.
That's the one where they are supposed to look for the leather and things and bondage, things like that.
It's not bondage. It's a woman in a leather.
Sex worker, right?
No, that's not correct. No.
I read it.
It's a drag queen.
I read it, bro. Oh. Listen, it's just the humble adventures of Doug, the butt plug pug.
Drag queen and drag queen.
The leather that they're pointing to is a woman in a leather jacket. And one of the words is drag queen in the search.
And they're supposed to look for those.
It is an option at the end of the book, correct?
Yeah, okay.
This is not kid-friendly at all. Nope, not even a little bit. This video is very hard to film. Yeah. Gee willikers. This is probably where all of those accusations of grooming have come from. People say gee willikers anymore. Is that a thing?
No, that definitely looks like grooming. If you ask me, grooming, that looks like grooming. Grooming essentially is you're taking a kid and you are indoctrinating them to thinking the way you want them to think. And that is exactly what is going on here. Absolutely.
It's a thing. Around the same time, mainstream kid shows were including...
Dude, what the fuck is this?
Including LGBT themes in their episodes. Blue's Clues dropped a pride song with drag queens singing about different family dynamics. Let's not forget the little beaver here with the double mastectomy scars. The show...
What? You've got to be shitting me. All this to normalize this shit, man. It really is. This is like actual child propaganda. Like, dude, it's crazy to think about this. So, a lot of people don't know this. There was, dude, I'm trying to remember what it was called. There was an anti-Semitic Mickey Mouse show that was released, I think it was in Syria. Farfour. Where was Farfour made? Farfour, the anti-Semitic Mickey Mouse. Hold on. Farfour Mickey Mouse origin. All right, I'm telling you, man, this is a real thing, okay? Farfour. All right, let's go. All right, Farfour is a character from the Palestinian children's TV show Tomorrow's Pioneers, which aired on Hamas-affiliated Al-Aqsa TV starting in 2007, designed to resemble Disney's Mickey Mouse. Very cool. Very cool. Nice. Love that. In the season 1 finale, Farfour was martyred in a storyline where he was beaten to death by an actor portraying Israeli officials attempting to seize land documents for a fictional Palestinian settlement. Dude, every cult has their own indoctrination techniques.
The show Ridley Jones introduced a non-binary character, and Rubble and Crew added subtle queer themes. Yeah, we see the trans-colored socks here, okay? We see what you're doing.
God,
some online shows were created with the express purpose of talking to kids about gender.
Bro, there is a song from the show. Okay. There's a song from the show called The Jewish Problem Can Be Solved with AK-47s. Okay? Stop asking me questions, chat. That is literally a song in the show.
Gender identity and the LGBTQ+ agenda. Parents started asking, why are preschool shows teaching gender identity, and why are you telling my little boy that he can be a little girl? Then there was the emphasis on not only drag queens generally, but drag kids. And this, I
had no idea it actually went this far. Thank God I went to private school. That's all I have to say. Thank God I went to a nice Jewish private school and didn't have any of this shit shoved down my throats. Crazy how that happens. And I'm just saying, there was not a single kid in my entire high school that was in the LGBT community. Probably a coincidence.
Fear is where we, yes, went off the edge of the cliff, fell into the ocean, sunk down into Mariana's Trench, and then got eaten by plankton. Or algae?
Bro,
what is at the bottom of Mariana's Trench? The little guy with the light? I'm sorry, I'm not well. In 2022, a Dallas event called Drag the Kids to Pride.
In Dallas? Dude, this is fucking crazy, dude.
Had children dancing with drag queens while adults tipped them. That is not a sentence I ever thought I would say. In the club's background, there was a neon sign that read, "It's not gonna lick itself." And
I'm like actually disgusted, you know that? I'm like actually disgusted.
I know that you guys are clever enough to understand what that means. So, yeah, super appropriate. Love this. Yeah. Years earlier, children like Desmond is Amazing and Nemus Gold caused a stir after both children appeared in numerous...
Oh, Lord, these are not heroes, okay? These are kids that were fucking manipulated by perverted adults. Like, this is insane.
Videos performing for adults. People online were extremely upset about both kids, particularly after Desmond is Amazing was filmed doing drag for adults in a bar setting, with the adults throwing money at him.
How the fuck did they even get away with this for as long as they did?
During the performance. So there was this song that my dad used to make us listen to when I was a kid, and the lyrics were, "Rip, rip, wood chip, turn them into paper." And somehow I just thought of that and was reminded of it, talking about these men throwing, you know, dollar bills at little boys. And I don't know, I feel like that's poignant and applicable, if you catch my drift.
Got it.
I want to force them into the wood chipper head first.
So not based. Everyone knows that you put pedophiles in the wood chipper legs first. Okay, everyone knows that what you just said is a rookie mistake. Head first. Oh, no.
I define myself as an inspirational drag kid.
Yeah, Child Protective Services, take this person away from their parents.
But if I had one word, I think it'd be amazing.
Back in 2019, the magazine Huck also highlighted Nemus Gold and his journey as a child drag queen.
Bro.
The accompanying photos with the spread were a bit grim for many readers.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's kid and it's a bit weird. Anyway, these are just two children. Soon we had shows like Kids in Drag that documented young boys participating in a drag competition.
Why?
Or Generation Drag.
Why do these exist? Why do these even exist? How did people not immediately realize, yo, that's too far? Bro, I'm not even gonna lie. You see shit like this and you're like, all right, enough. The LGBT community, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm not getting involved with what you do in your personal life, but it was a mistake. Sorry. It's not appropriate. Get out of here.
Produced by Tyra Banks, which featured 12 to 17-year-old kids preparing for a drag ball.
Bro.
Whatever that means. And I mean, like, speaking of shows, over the years we've had all sorts of these things that highlight trans children or theybies or non-binary 3-year-olds. I'm not sure
non-binary 3-year-old.
Or what's worse, or if there is a worse, but eventually all of this culminated in people calling to have children at Pride around kink and the promotion of kink at Pride in general. Some of you might remember a particularly notorious New York Times article published in 2021 where a mother argued that she wanted her child at Pride around the inappropriate behavior because it was part of the community.
Dude, I'm like actually crying. Like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how this got accepted, man. I don't know how this is remotely accepted in society. Like, how aren't all the people around this kid immediately arrested? Well, it's crazy. What kink? It's all a kink. It's all a kink. All of it. It is. It is. It is a kink. Obviously, it is a sexual act done for pleasure. Not, you know, being transgender, but, you know, everything else. It is. That's what it is. I'm sorry. It is.
And seemingly, a lot of other people agreed, because then we had an onslaught of videos and images popping up year on year, showing children with naked adults looking at those in fetish gear, watching people simulate adult acts on one another, while little humans watched on, wide-eyed. Why is this a thing?
No, I don't even think it matters if kids are... You're in public. This should not be in public, at all. You should be arrested for public indecency.
I'm just going to ask you a few questions real quick. So, what is going on with you being naked? I mean, is there something
it's
wrong
legal
with
here.
You? Or, I know it's legal here, but you got kids all around you, and I noticed I've been sitting across the way reporting on the event, and every single time kids walk by, you're enthusiastically waving at them, trying to get their attention.
In case you're wondering why so many people are starting to no longer celebrate Pride, I will show you exactly why. Because when you go to a Pride parade in New York, you see a child right next to a topless woman who looks so excited to be there. If this were a straight man on any other month or even day of the year, this person would be charged and put on the sex offender list.
True.
I don't understand the double standard.
True. Your average gay guy was fucked over so badly by the way the movement fucking devolved into this degenerate cesspit.
This is the same exact thing. Stop using Pride as an excuse to get naked around children.
Howdy, my name is Julie. I'm an adult human female. And I just want you to know that children do not belong at Pride events. I, as a lesbian, am an elder gay. And I'm here to let
An elder gay? The fuck is... It's like, I am gay Yoda.
You know from the community that it is the most perverted, disgusting event ever. It is not what it was decades ago.
It didn't help that...
Yikes. That's crazy. Yeah, no, anyway, incredibly hot take. The elder gay was spitting kind of facts. Not gonna lie. In my humble opinion, humbly speaking, none of this should be public. None of it. It shouldn't be celebrated. It shouldn't be celebrated in public at all. Like, dude, I don't see straight people going around, well, I do sometimes, and I think those people are kind of degenerates, going around and being like, yeah, I had so much sex with my female wife. She's so female, and I had so much sex with her. Bro, you should not be talking like this in public in front of children anyway, regardless of your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. None of this should be in public at all.
Pride organizers like Pittsburgh's in 2022 insisted on youth zones to support queer kids. But when parades...
And by the way, hot take, there is nothing to be proud about. None of this is anything to be proud about. It's not. Do I celebrate my straightness on a daily basis? I don't. So I don't see why there's anything to celebrate at all, in any way, at all. There is nothing to be proud about, bro.
Included suggestive costumes or kink displays like leather floats or pup play dog mask men, which popped up in San Francisco.
What the fuck is this? What am I looking at?
Disco in 2022.
Dude,
and
what happened to America? Bro, it's like, the funny thing is, when I see like big political disagreements in America, and you know, you have like these big discussions, and you know, you'll have some discussion in the right, all right, you know, Currently, everyone's debating whether America should go to war with Iran or whatever. All right, so you let people with nuanced takes. We don't want to make a regime change. We don't want to contribute to the war. We do want to contribute, but not like militarily, just monetarily. You'll have debates and nuances and foreign policy and discussion. This should not even be in that entire area. This should not even be here at all. I don't understand why this is even remotely acceptable by anyone. If someone thinks this is normal, they should be chased out of politics.
Honestly, in other years, people started questioning why kids were there at all. And the messaging around...
It doesn't even matter if kids are there if you're doing it in public. All right? In my opinion. If you're doing it in public, it doesn't even matter if there are kids there. Now, when there are kids there, obviously, I think it's a nightmare. However, even if there aren't kids there, if you're doing this in public, you should be arrested for public indecency.
It didn't help at all. In 2021, the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus released
Of course this exists.
a song with the line, "We're coming for your children,"
Bro. What?
which they argued was satire, but it didn't
Yeah, this is like Iran saying death to America. Just kidding, guys.
really matter, given that this was basically a PR disaster, with many people arguing this group was finally saying the quiet part out loud. But the degeneracy had well and truly been associated at this point with the movement. There was no undoing that. And taking kids out of the equation didn't help to restore the community's image. Pride events had turned into an exercise in depravity, with kink, fetish, nudity, lewd acts taking place in person, in real life, in front of other people.
This is
and
crazy.
a decent portion...
I don't even know why this is a thing. Like, why is this celebrated to some extreme degree? Like, we don't have Black Month where you have black people making black parades in the middle of the street. Like, I don't know why this is, like, even a thing. Why there was so much focus on it. Unless it's specifically because it's anti-religious in some way.
Of gay and lesbian people abhorred this and refused to participate, while others cheered it on. I found so many articles like White Kink, BD...
That's Black History Month. Dude, there aren't giant Black History Month brigades of just black people and only black people swarming the streets, all right, and partying and doing that, okay? It's not a thing. It is not a thing. It isn't.
BDSM and leather should be included.
They get all the white kids to go around the black men in these giant parades. None of that happens. None of that is real. I'm not talking about protests or Black Lives Matter or any of that, obviously. I'm talking about, like, just a month to celebrate a minority. That doesn't exist unless it's specifically somehow anti-religion.
Pride and Keep Pride Nude, which both essentially argue that fetish is an expression of queer culture and sexuality, and criticisms of these are racist and bad for children. I'm not joking. They make the claim that this is racist and harmful to children. I think we have different perceptions of harm to children. Is there a way that we can just put people who think like this on a ship and then send them to Jupiter?
I mean, I'm not opposed, honestly. I think there's something major wrong, and it literally needs to be it needs to be taught in public. People need to stop being so scared. Why are people such pussies? Have you noticed that everyone's a pussy? Nah, dude. Enough of that shit. Everyone's so terrified to speak up against gay people because they'll call you homophobic and ruin your life. Someone in my chat just said the wildest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, that's why they're importing Islamists. Yeah, they're importing Islamists to curb the LGBT community with no stop. Chat, stop! Stop!
I would like that. I support that. On top of all of this insanity, there were the very, very public scandals. In 2022, Sam Brinton, a non-binary Biden official, was caught stealing women's luggage from the airport and then wearing it in photos online.
Nice. Wow.
In 2023, a Senate staffer made an adult tape in a Senate office building.
What the fuck, man? Why are these people being celebrated? This is bullshit, man. This is insanity.
The individual who was involved showed zero remorse after the fact.
We're all agree that this is a deviant. This is a sexual deviant, bro.
telling New York Magazine that he didn't regret what he did, and given how boring his job was, he was only finding a way to entertain himself. And let's not forget the 2022
Oh yeah, this I remember.
attempts, well, Fringe, to normalize MAPS. Or
that I remember the MAPS!
Or fans of the playground, with some groups arguing that this was just as much a sexuality as same-sex attraction. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think this same push came from the bestiality crowd and the men who want to dress as little girls and be in diapers and things, and actually furries.
Dude, I think people aren't aware of something, especially on the far left. I don't even think it's the left. I really think it's the far left. A lot of people are unaware of this. However, on the far left, there's no morality. None. That's why they riot. That's why they commit acts of terrorism. And that is why they commit every fucking sin in the Bible. All right, whatever. Because they're for some reason, they lost it. They fucking lost it. It's like you have this whole, well, you know, it's between two consenting adults, so therefore everything is fine now. All right, well, what about, I'm just saying. If Trump wouldn't have won the election, they would be legalizing incest right now. It's two consensual adults. I don't understand the problem. I don't even understand the problem, man. Like, dude, this is a clip from Cenk Uygur. All right, this is Hassan Piker's uncle, host of the Young Turks, a giant leftist talk show, by the way. This is what he had to say.
Here comes the controversial part, the part I shouldn't say. I believe that if I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, where you are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no one sees what you're saying, sir. You're retarded and immoral and okay, horse fucker. We can continue and not talk about other things right now. Like, that's the shit that's going on. Like, this is fucking freak shit. It really is. It really is.
I'm sure that furries fit in here somewhere. Honorable mention for all the children who started identifying as cats and birds and...
That was a thing at some point, by the way.
Fish and whatnot. That's probably the furries' fault. I'm gonna blame the furries. Let's also not forget that in response to all of this and the people who were pushing back against the indoctrination in schools and these drag kids and these drag events and what have you, there were always the LGBT plus protesters who turned up to clash with the people saying, no, please don't do this to our children. You don't have to look far at all to find video evidence and articles and whatnot about these clashes, which unfortunately I can't show you on YouTube. I would love to, but I can't.
Absolutely not.
I could continue listing examples, and honestly worse examples that aren't YouTube friendly, because there are a lot of them. But regardless of how many of these I show you, the point here is that this has led to the very aggressive and sharp turn away from the LGBT movement, the community.
True. And that is why, unironically, this shit is twistin'. It's twistin', bro. Gavin Newsom made it so pedos who have anal and oral with kids over 14 don't have to be on a sex offender list. I don't believe that at all. There's no fucking way that's a truth. That's a true fact. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I'm looking that up right now, because if that's true, I am I officially would like Trump to not rescue LA. I'm changing my mind. I am changing my mind immediately. We're asking the AI. Sorry, we're asking the AI. Is this true? This. There's no way this is true. No, this claim is not true. Thank fucking God. The bill doesn't legalize or decriminalize any sexual acts with minors. All right. It amended California's sex offender registry law to address a display how certain consensual sex acts were treated. Wait, hold up. Prior to the bill, judges had the discretion to decide whether someone convinced of voluntary vaginal intercourse with a minor 14 to 17 within 10 years of the offender should be put on a sex offender registry. However, for voluntary anal and oral sex with a minor in the same age range, registration was mandatory. Dog, that's still not good. That is still not good. That is still not good. Oh my god.
And pride. See, I don't think that your average person actually cares if somebody is gay or straight or a bag of turnips. I think what they care about is having these ideas and concepts and things shoved down their throat. I think people are fatigued.
I think it's both. I think the fatigue is definitely what's I think the fatigue is stopping people. I think the fatigue is why people are actually talking about it now. But I think something else incredibly true. I think a lot of people are against it because they think it's immoral. And everyone's afraid to say that for some reason. For some reason, everyone's afraid to say this. But I think that a lot of people do think it. It's one of those things that I think a big chunk of humanity believes but doesn't want to say out loud. Because, you know, it'll get you canceled. But anywho.
Especially with the trans movement, especially with the gender ideology movement, with this queer activism that we're seeing everywhere. And I think your average person just wants to be left in peace. The irony for me is that plenty of gay and lesbian people who I either know personally or have seen online are so disillusioned with this movement and this community that they themselves have completely separated. These are people who do not feel represented by the corporatization of pride, nor the degeneracy and depravity that goes along with all of this. The activists who have pushed for all of this have created a rigid resistance to all things associated with the rainbow flag. And ironically,
I don't think it's something to be celebrated at all. That's my opinion. I used to be a lot more of the perspective that, hey, I don't really care what anybody does. I don't really care what anybody does. If they do it themselves, that's fine. I don't care. I don't know. I just think it doesn't need to be celebrated whatsoever. Like, at all. Period.
Efforts to force acceptance have only created more derision, given they associated their community with some pretty gross things. It also doesn't help that these activist types take to social media and
like the crazy thing is, like, you have a lot of people say that, you know, it is moral, it's not moral, whatever the discussion is. But then it evolves into this. It evolves into this every single time. Every single time you give a finger, they take a hand. And it's like this with almost every one of these movements. Almost every one of these, like, anti-traditionalist movements ends up evolving into this fucking debaucherous society. And I think that that's kind of what happened here.
Gloat about making others uncomfortable or upset with their antics. Similar to the point that I made about the collapse of the trans—
Why aren't you accepting me? All I want to do is teach children to cut their testicles off. I don't understand why I'm not being accepted.
Trans movement, people are so sick of the zealotry coming out of this community. They are tired.
Bro, you say anything. I mean, I'm gonna get canceled for this video, not that I actually care. But you are going to get annihilated if you say a word against these. Bro, did you say something against the trans community? Oh, shit. Oh, it's over. Oh, it's over. Did you use someone's not preferred pronouns? Holy, we're cooking you tonight. Bro, that whole shit is so annoying. It is so frustrating. Look, I believe in being respectful to people in general if they, you know, give me respect, like on a human level, absolutely. But listen, man, I don't feel the need to bend to to fall to my knees and suckle at your philosophies. I don't.
Tired of walking on eggshells lest they be accused of homophobia or one of the other 5 bajillion phobias.
True,
they are tired of being berated for not celebrating or backing a movement that has gotten progressively more and more bizarre and depraved.
True.
I think most of us are very fed up with being accused of bigotry when we ask that children be left alone and pride be less inappropriate and sexualized. So when you put all of this together and more, all the things that I haven't mentioned in this video, it's really not surprising why some people are reneging their support and the people who were largely indifferent are starting to actively dislike this movement. And
again, I think it's I'm gonna throw out some numbers out here. I might not actually these numbers might not be accurate, but I'm just gonna throw them out anyway, just for the sake of getting my point across. I think that you have 20% of people that think that it should be proud, it should be celebrated, everyone should love all of this. It's a wonderful thing. It's incredible. It's beautiful and wonderful and crazy cool. All the gay, lesbian, dog dressed up BDSM people is incredible. All right. I think that's, we'll say 10%. I think that's 10% on one side. 10% on the other side are the, kill gay people percent of people. All right. Because those people definitely exist for sure. Execute gay people. Those guys are real. And I think that's on the other end of the spectrum. But I think for the 80% in the middle, it's more of a, I don't actually give a fuck type philosophy. So once you start making them give a fuck negatively, then all of a sudden they're not going to like you. So that's my opinion for the actual spectrum of it. Now, my opinions on many things have shifted over my years on the internet. One of my major changes in perspectives is if I have a virtue or a moral that I truly believe to be true and just, I am not going to bend to your whim because you want me to. I don't want anyone to be offended, unless you're a retard. I don't want anyone to be offended, but I will not capitulate to your platitudes if I think they're wrong.
In this community. Color me crazy, but when you watch enough videos of children giving money to drag queens or shoving money into their clothing as they perform, or little kids interacting with men in puppy play fetish masks and whatnot out in public.
Gross.
It's probably enough to sour one's opinion of not only the community, but just pride in general. So, while progressives scream very loudly about homophobia being the primary root reason why people are moving away and getting off of rainbow...
Yeah, it's not homophobia. It's not. It's homophatigia. I think the 80% of people in the middle that don't actually really care, those people are getting annoyed. All right? That's why there's a move away from it. It's not because of homophobia. It's not because of anything else. It's homophatigia. People are just kind of frustrated. I'm not gonna lie.
Road, your average person has stopped listening and stopped caring. Because when you make everything about weird, gross sex stuff, no one wants to hang out with you. Imagine that. The gross public behavior, the emphasis on the trans, queer, gender ideological portion of all of this, the going after children has only really accelerated people getting very fatigued with all of this. And in the end, I am very curious to see if this will lead to a toning down of the events and parades and what have you with relation to Pride. Or if this will lead to the activist class doubling down and getting even more aggressive. And
yeah, I think both are going to be true. I think the activists are going to freak the fuck out as time goes on. But simultaneously, I think more and more people are just not going to care. And they're not going to have the power that they used to have. You don't understand how much... Dude, if you're just, like, waking up and going on the internet now, you wouldn't even believe how insane it was. You would misgender somebody, and they would take your job, they would take your career, they would harass your family, they would slander you in every possible way, they would label you as the ultimate Nazi of the 21st century. Like, you don't understand how fucking abusive and oppressive that shit was, because you said an opinion that was yours, that you have every right to have. Literally, you have every right to have that opinion. I don't know. Incredibly hot take. Quoting Bible passages does not make you transphobic or homophobic.
And more obnoxious. I guess only time will tell. Now, on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out Vtube using the link in the description. As you guys know, I love Vtube. They've been made over the last number of years.
Yeah, I'll of course link her in the description. This was a great video. No, but yeah, no, the downfall, it was inevitable. It was inevitable. My opinion is it was inevitable. Every movement, every single movement that starts off with the whole philosophy for so many people is, I think it's immoral. However, I don't actually care if it's, because it's not really my business. Every movement that starts that way will end up like this. It will. Every single one will snowball into people that want too much. Your average gay guy doesn't want anything to do with this movement as it stands right now. And my final closing thoughts here are, you are made in the image of God. Trust your morals and your virtues, and do not capitulate to a mob that is yelling at you. Thanks for being here. Hope you're good. Do not cut the testicles off children, and stay weird, fam. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.